Nigeria's former Minister of Information and presidential aspirant of the Social Democratic Party, Professor Jerry Gana. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Morning, Professor.
Good morning, Ngozi. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you on the show.
Good morning.
Morning, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with the what observers have said about these realignments, defections, and or whatnot, all kinds of, adjectives that you want to use to describe what the politicians have been doing. They're saying it only is a reminder that our politicians care only about themselves, that it has absolutely nothing to do with the national interest.
Well, I wouldn't say that is entirely fair to the politicians. I think essentially the political leaders and those in the political arena are also listening to what the people of Nigeria are saying, in the sense that this present administration, unfortunately, have disappointed Nigerians. They haven't kept the promises. They promised so much and were able to deliver very little. And so there is a very desperate wish, almost a desire, a prayer, that democratically this government will be defeated in 2019. And therefore there is a kind of an appeal to the political class that don't get so divided that by default this administration would, as it were, maybe scale through. Therefore, there has been an urge that although parties are there, as it were, campaigning, it becomes necessary the opposition party should cooperate and make sure that there is a very clear platform and a very clear strategy of defeating this government. So there is that popular wish, that inner urge throughout Nigeria. And I think this is what a lot of the politicians are responding to. We in the SDP, we are very confident that Nigerians will give the SDP another opportunity, because the SDP won before. We were not allowed to rule at that point because the election was annulled. The SDP is back with a very, very clear new program, a wonderfully thought out manifesto of the party with 12 clear programs. So we believe that if we sell our programs and we come up with candidates, like ourselves, and really appeal to Nigerians, the SDP on its own has a tremendous opportunity of really moving forward. But in the event that things become difficult, Nigerians are saying, please don't be selfish in saying you insist on your own line. Cooperate with others to make sure this administration is democratically defeated in 2019, because Nigerians are tired of it.
All right, we'll come into the SDP proper for Nigerians to really understand what is there. But you have been...
Thank you, Mike.
Yes. You have been in the Second Republic. You were very active. You were a senator at that time. You were active in the Third Republic during the SDP, NRC you mentioned now. And you are also active in the Fourth Republic now. A lot of Nigerians still call our democracy nascent and undeveloped, our political culture immature and all of that. But from your standpoint, making comparison between the second, even the First Republic, at least you were very knowledgeable as to whatever went on that time too. Would you say we are on right track when it comes to building the kind of political culture we should have as a country?
Of course, there is a lot of room for improvement, but if the truth is to be told, we are making progress. I must confess that sometimes we are too severe on ourselves. I know that a number of people within the political system would like things to be certainly better, and I subscribe to that. But it won't be fair to say we haven't made progress. I happen to have the opportunity of really contributing to the building of the consciousness politically. Because you recall that for some time I served as the chairman of MAMSA in preparing Nigerians for transition to democracy, from military rule to democracy. And the Political Bureau report, which did an excellent report, identified that raising the consciousness of the people and teaching them the democratic rights was a very important part of the return to democracy. For about 8 years, Professor Tunde and myself, Tunde Adeniran, and we're still together, and myself, we mobilized effectively during the MAMSA years to make sure that Nigerians understood civil liberties, civil rights, human rights, the power of the voter to vote in according to their conscience and what they want, and that at the heart of democracy is the freedom of choice, freedom to associate, freedom to select, freedom to know which leaders you want to vote for. And believe you me, we did a very, very good job, because at the end of that process, we ended up one of the best elections in Nigeria so far in 1990. Unfortunately, the election was annulled. Otherwise, Nigerians learned a lot of things during that period, so that the Fourth Republic, which we're in now, certainly benefited, because there was maturity. It was that kind of maturity that led political leaders in 1998, 1999 to say, now look, we should come together, because the essential thing at that point in time is the restoration of democracy. And therefore, they said we shouldn't divide ourselves into small ideological parties, but unite together as the political class and ensure that there is a robust restoration of democracy, a robust respect for civilian rule, in such a way that civilian rule will be sustainable. And that was part of the process of forming the PDP earlier on as a member of the G34. And I must confess, whatever anybody may say, we succeeded in restoring democracy. We succeeded in installing civilian rule. We succeeded for 16 years in bringing up good governance and making sure that the military class respected civilian leaders. And therefore, civil authority has been restored, democracy has been restored. We are now moving into another phase, which is also healthy, a phase in which ideology is becoming now, very important. Now, we are being deliberate about this, because it's ideology that will sustain this party for a long time.
If I may comment, Professor.
Okay,
Professor Jerigan, you talk about ideology, that we are actually moving forward, but a lot of people will be wondering.
We're now moving towards that.
We're moving towards ideology. Okay, ideology-driven or ideologically driven kind of democracy. But a lot of people who are listening to you now would say Jerigan, for example, has been there forever. Even those at the helm of those at the helm of affairs right now would say this. They would say that about those at the helm of affairs right now. My point is, if truly we're making progress, how come the same actors in the First Republic are still the ones holding the reins of power, even now? And even those who are saying we're doing everything to get those in charge right now out of the way are still part of the old class. Don't you think that for Nigeria to say that, yes, truly, we are moving forward, we are making progress, we should be able to, break away from the past and begin on a clean new slate where younger people actually drive the progress of Nigeria?
I think that is to say that is it the same people that are just, continue is an overstatement. If you look at the political class, a lot of people have come in that were not there before, and they are moving on. A few of us, maybe because of our experience in the years, and the fact that still, by the grace of God, we look healthy and have, a very, very tremendous love for the nation, the importance of really teaching a combination of wisdom, a combination of experiences, a combination of knowing the country with the energy of the youth. That combination is important. No nation should underestimate the importance of those who, through the years, really understand the dynamics and the things that are happening within. We shouldn't be forever learning again, just going back to square one. That should be those of the institutional memory. That, no, look, we did this before, it didn't work, leave that, let's move on to A, B, C. That is still necessary. At the same time, we must allow the younger generation to come in, and believe you me, when you look at those who are participants at the state level and even at the federal level, many people have come in. So I think it's an overstatement to say that it's just the same way. Thank God, and when you look at nations like China and others, that there's a respect, a very healthy respect of a combination between experience and energy, between wisdom and the creativity of the youth. We should combine both. It is not an either or, it's both. And then, of course, there's also the issue of mentorship. People must raise leaders. Leaders don't just emerge. Leaders don't just happen. They don't just by accident. They are raised. They are groomed. They are trained.
Yes, we understand that, but the elders don't seem to want to, accommodate the youth. They're almost saying that the whole idea of not too young to rule law that's in place now is just lip service.
No, how much place
is the SDP, for example, giving to the youth to actually, be strong players in the system?
Thank you very much, Ngozi. I must say that we are very, very deliberate in the Social Democratic Party that in our manifesto and the constitution of the party, which we freshly designed, we are giving a lot of emphasis to making sure that there is enough room, more than sufficient room for the youth and the women. Before, for example, in most parties, you just have the woman leader or the youth leader. No. We've transformed that into a youth parliament and a women parliament, so that the whole generation of youth and women are being brought into the political arena deliberately. And if you now go, those who are buying forms, wanting to stand election here and there, only a few are beyond 60. Most of them are the youth, deliberately. You go to our offices, many of the young people are coming in. We are encouraging them deliberately. And we are doing so because we believe we need to bring the youth and the women into governance. They have ability, creativity, capacity, energy, love of country. They're able to get things moving. But it doesn't mean you now, as it were, remove entirely experience and wisdom and those who really have an institutional memory to say, now look, this is the way to do it. Don't waste time, because we've gone this bit before, it didn't work, and we were there, you can give experiences. So it's a combination of both. And if there is a party that is really encouraging both the women and the youth, is the Social Democratic Party.
All right. Professor, you were a member of the G34 that gave birth to, or midwife to, the PDP. So certainly
yes,
you have...
very, very delighted to have been.
Now, Nigerians, certainly from that time, you are a founding member of the People's Democratic Party, but you left that party and went to the SDP. And as it is right now, SDP is still in coalition in the CUPP with the PDP that you left. How would Nigerians reconcile the fact that you left the PDP because maybe you were not satisfied with the way things were there, and then you were still in coalition with the political party you left? How do you reconcile that to Nigerians, Professor?
The reconciliation is in the area of love of country. The reconciliation is in terms of making sure that our own individual aspirations, individual way of wanting to really, as it were, participate in the political process does not in any way undermine the nation's ability to provide excellent leadership for the next election that is coming. I left the PDP, and I don't dwell on this because it was very clearly on principle, on something that certainly I couldn't, as it were, I was given opportunity in the PDP that we formed to make sure that things were rectified, and I did my very best. At the end of the day, when we had the national convention, some of the things we agreed with must never happen again, like imposition, impunity, all kinds of things that we said, no, never again must they happen. Unfortunately happened, and I said, now look, if I've tried my best, and basically there are new pharaohs in Egypt who do not recognize Joseph, maybe Joseph will just quietly move away to a party that really defines my political philosophy. So I was moving to principles, I'm moving to core values, I'm moving to the kind of philosophy that I identify. I'm a social democrat by perception, because for me, people matter more than things. For me, democracy is about freedom of choice. So internal party democracy is very important to me. I don't like a system whereby a few individuals just gather and say it must be X, Y, Z. Let the people choose. Let the people select. Respect the wish of the people. And when I couldn't succeed, I said, look, you go on. I don't hate the PDP, but I will move on to SDP, which defines my political philosophy. And I was in the SDP. Basically, we promoted it and encouraged it. And therefore, now that is available, I just gone back home, as it were, to my political turf. And you will notice that since I left the PDP, I've never said anything about that party until now you are asking me. I have nothing, and now coming together, it was not so much of fusion. What we are doing to say, now look, you go ahead, PDP, SDP, and any other of the cooperating parties, but At the end of the day, we must ensure that we give a very effective opposition and a very clear choice to Nigerians between President Buhari of APC and the opposition parties, so that we don't divide our own votes in such a way that by default, the party and the leadership that Nigerians are hoping and praying and crying that it should really be democratically defeated, by our own selfish default, is allowed to continue. So it is in respect of that wish, that desire, that prayer by Nigerians that although we are very, very ready and able and capable of moving on as SDP, and we are moving on as SDP, if it becomes necessary, we are willing to cooperate with other opposition parties, that the APC government that is not giving Nigerians good governance and development and progress and development is giving a democratic defeat. That is the issue.
Okay, and it looks like it's going to be a tough one for Nigerians to choose, among these 91 political parties. And when people are thinking about the 2019 election, it seems it's more between the APC and the PDP. Of course, there is SDP, there is ADP, and a few other parties in the mix. How challenging is it going to be for Nigerians to make a good choice so that 1 year down the line after 2019, they're able to look back and say, we don't have any regrets, we have done what is right, especially when it concerns restructuring, when it concerns the issues of security, corruption, and of course the economy?
Okay. Fortunately, the Nigerian political, the voters in Nigeria have really grown over the years. I must pay due respect to Nigerian voters. They know what they want. They know the kind of things they are about. So what I want to emphasize is that we, at this point, are making every effort to present to Nigerians the kind of programs that would really, as it were, mobilize them, that would give them the conviction that this is the right team to choose. And they will choose. If only there will be free and fair elections, Nigerians know what they want. They know whom they want. They know where to go. And therefore, in answering your question, my first appeal will be for the EMPA, the Independent National Electoral Commission, to assure Nigerians of a free, fair, and credible election come 2019. Secondly, let this be an issues-based campaign. No abuses, no non-issues. First, the issues. The issues of growth, for example, we in the SDP and for me, we have about 12 programs, very clearly thought out. First and foremost, the issue of restructuring, because this federation has to be restructured in such a way that the functions of the center and the federating units are properly articulated, are properly synchronized, are properly done, so that the federating units have the authority and the power to be able to give to their people the basic needs of life, the need for security, the need for development, the need for progress, the need for investment in human development. So that is very important. Secondly, we believe that the issue of infrastructure for an economy like Nigeria is extremely important. Nigeria deserves a first-class infrastructure by way of roads and railways and highways, the kind of thing that allow goods and people to move in the country. The kind of infrastructure we have now is not facilitating growth and development. Thirdly, we believe that power, the issue of energy and power in the nation, is long overdue. Fortunately, we have all the energy sources to be able to generate electricity. Why shouldn't we be able to do that? We believe that that is the critical program, because to transform the economy, you need 24/7 supply of electricity, and we can do it. Fourthly, we believe that the agricultural sector must be transformed and built in such a way that it will produce the food and industrial raw materials for industries. And then, of course, fifthly, is extremely that the economy itself, which is now not really growing, it is not being allowed to expand. This economy is endowed. This economy has resources, human resources, solid mineral resources, energy, oil and gas resources. The good Lord has been so gracious to Nigeria. Therefore, we believe that the economy of Nigeria must be, as it were, set on the path of rapid growth, expansionary growth, not the kind of growth that is being done now, where the budget is just about 5% of the GDP. No. We want to go higher than that, because we must invest. And then, of course, we believe that because for us, people matter more than things, we must invest massively in the Nigerian people. in their education, in their health, in their housing facilities, so that Nigerians live good lives. Then sixthly, it's extremely important that the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. And so on. We have about 12 programs. We want to emphasize this so that Nigerians can choose. And we know that Nigerians will choose because they want a developed nation, a secure nation, a good nation, a developed nation. Nigerians know what they want. And believe you me, if you are giving them that choice, we know that the SDP, with our 12 program and the kind of candidature we want to give to Nigerians, a candidature with understanding, with historical experiences, with capacity, with energy, with ideas, with drive, with love of the people, we know that Nigerians will select the platform we are offering.
Okay. All right, Professor.
What we are emphasizing is that if it becomes necessary,
yes,
we are willing
and
to cooperate with others because the APC government must be defeated.
All right, Professor Ghana.
For Nigerians to move forward.
Yes. Professor Ghana, let me pick the restructuring thing that has become a little maybe controversial across the country right now.
Yeah.
You have said you will be part of restructuring. You support restructuring. In fact, your political party, you just stated it now. But however,
yes,
in fact, on the papers this morning, for instance, if I have to make reference to elder statesman Tanko Yakase is saying that restructuring is a Yoruba agenda, and it is championed or fueled or supported by uninformed Igbo, as the case may be. Statement like this from elder statesmen throw Nigerians back to think as to whether this restructuring is something we all understand or not. Now, you are from the north. Some southern leaders say that the north is the one afraid of restructuring. And then when an elder statesman like Tanko Yakase says that, well, it's a Yoruba agenda, it's a southern agenda, how would Nigerians reconcile and accept the concept of restructuring when you and your party is championing it?
Thank you very much, Mike. It's extremely important for us to be sober and to reflect very deeply at this point in time on these matters because there are fundamental issues. And I want to appeal to elder statesmen like beloved Alhaji Tanko Yakase and others to allow Nigerians to think, to generate consensus, and to take decisions on vital matters. Our founding fathers were correct when they decided that giving a country like Nigeria with such diverse ethnic groups, such religious groups, such other diversities, the best form of association is federalism. Now, federalism, to practice it properly, you have to agree which is the center and what functions are to be assigned to that center. And then you now decide on the federating units. And what are the powers and functions and abilities and resources that you give to the federating unit so that they have the power, the authority to be able to drive the process of development for their people and move at their own rate. Now, unfortunately, we started very, very well in the 1960s, 63 and so on. Then, we had an interim period of military rule. And by the very nature of military rule, because of the hierarchical nature of the organization, a lot of the federation functions that were for the federating units got pulled to the center. So right now, the center is over-centralized. There's too many functions. Therefore, part and parcel of this devolution, and anybody who really will look at it dispassionately would agree, you need to devolve power out of Abuja and functions to the federating unit. For example, for a state governor, who is the chief security officer, to openly say, now look, he has no power to implement issues of security because security is so centralized. A state governor said that a state governor is supposed to be a chief security officer. He said, now look, I'm powerless. In a federation, it should be so. The federation must allow the federating units the functions and the powers that were allowed to govern as governments effectively in the interest of their people. And then thirdly, apart from this political restructuring that will allow the federation to really be in very clear tiers of a central government with its own functions, the federating units with very, very properly devolved powers and authority and functions to be able to do properly. Then you also have the fiscal aspect of federalism, in which the issues of who gets what is well decided. The resources must be, as it were, developed to serve the interests of the federating units. What we are saying here, there is unfairness, there is imbalance, there is the kind of thing that is not allowing the federation to really run properly. So there is no peace and stability. And our constitution says very clearly that the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government.
Yes, we do understand that. We do understand that.
Therefore, this restructuring is not an emotional matter.
Yes.
It's not a sectional matter. This restructuring is for Nigerians to raise consensus about developing this issue so that we can live together in peace. And we've done so many conferences. We've generated so many ideas. In 1977, in 1989, in 1994, in 2005, in 2014, for goodness sake, lots of ideas. What we now need is the political will to be able to really allow Nigeria to be a federal republic with federating units that are really powerful and able to govern effectively. Not this centralized thing, but people sit in Abuja and think that they can maintain security in villages. It's not possible.
Professor Jarigana, what do you say to people who believe that this whole talk about restructuring would only lead to the balkanization of Nigeria? I mean, they have fears. Are those fears founded? So what manner of restructuring then would you recommend for a country like Nigeria, multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious, and all of that, that will suit every side, that will make every side happy?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted that you asked that question. There is no fear at all about restructuring. And the people who are saying that restructuring will lead to the breakup of Nigeria, I think they are being very unfair to Nigerians. Nigerians love the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They want to be truly a nation that will develop, but nobody wants to be sidelined. Nobody wants it to be, as it were, kept in a zone where you feel powerless in your own country, you feel unloved in your own country, no progress, no future, no development. So restructuring does not mean Nigeria breaking, and not at all. In fact, it will strengthen it, because the federal structure which forefathers have decided is the right thing to do. This is the association that will make us really strong. All we are saying, let it be true federalism, in which there are functions for the center, there are functions for the federating units, and they are given the resources and the authority so to perform. And that will unite. And you see, two federal areas around the world, the United States, for example, India for another, Australia for another, all federal, or Canada. If you are running your federation, the country is very effectively together. The thing that will break Nigeria is for some people to impose their will. Look at some of the appointments that are going on in this administration. Many Nigerians so feel, what is happening here? And that's the kind of thing that is driving people mad. Oh, you make people feel as if they are not really truly Nigerians. There are no second-class citizens in Nigeria. We are all first-class citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Restructuring will give stability, will give fairness, will give justice, will give equity, will give peace, will give security. That's the way to go.
All right. Now, yeah, Professor.
A group will be imposing their ideas, and then there will be a reaction.
All right, Professor.
We don't want that kind of reaction.
Yeah, Professor
we want
Ghana.
it to be done by consensus.
Okay. Professor Ghana, because we're trying to be very conscious of time right now, we just have a few minutes. Now, when you were picking up your when you were picking up your presidential nomination form, you made a statement saying that Nigeria is facing an existential threat. Can you make us understand what kind of threat and what can be done so that all Nigerians are on deck when it comes to maybe averting this threat or surmounting the threat?
The threat is coming in two or three directions. The first place, there seems to be those who are not allowing this democracy to run the way it should be. The beauty of democracy is the freedom of choice, freedom of association, freedom of electing who and who you want. There must not be imposition. There must be the kind of thing that would say to people, you force things in your own way. No. There must be understanding. Secondly, there is the threat of insecurity. In a country where you find on a daily basis people being attacked and killed in this country is very, very, human life is sacred. The sanctity of human life. And therefore, the Constitution is correct that the security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. So this insecurity is becoming another area. Then this poverty is killing Nigerians. 87 million Nigerians. A very well researched paper just identified internationally. And I've just been reading this, saying that about 87 million people in Nigeria are in the poverty area. We cannot allow that.
But a lot of experts, let me come in, since we're trying to maximize time. Yep. The whole phenomenon, unfortunate one at that, of vote buying, people have said, yes, it's part of the weaponization of poverty. And it is the political class that seems to have failed Nigerians when it comes to the dividends of democracy. I wonder what you have to say to this.
Well, fortunately, this is the alternative we are offering, very credible, because we believe that there must be a powerful link between democracy, which will now really facilitate the choice of good leaders. Good leadership will lead to good governance. Good governance will lead to development. It is a powerful cycle. But the way to start is to really allow the system to throw up, through elections, good leaders. Good leaders will have the ideas, will have the program to transform the nation. And that's the kind of leadership we offer. That's why we are in the race, to ensure that Nigerians really choose leaders who have the ideas, the capacity, the knowledge, the know-how to be able to get things moving. And therefore, this is a very, very powerful thing, and Nigerians, therefore, must not allow this vote-buying thing that is coming up now to ruin our democracy. We appeal to INEC. We appeal to the security agencies. If you allow parties to buy votes at the election day, that is the worst form of corruption. And you ruin the whole process of leadership choice, and it will ruin our democracy completely. Therefore, it is not a minor matter, it's a very serious matter. But unfortunately, the government of the day is the one promoting it. The party, the ruling party, is the one promoting it. Now in the Osun State, although the governorship election that is coming, of course, the police have come out now that they will deal with those who buy votes. But some people are already buying the votes ahead of time. This suddenly that so much money is now being given as loans, and then when people are being given loans, their PVC numbers are, that is already buying vote ahead of time. It is wrong. It must not be done.
All right, Professor.
People must have the integrity and the ability to be able to choose and elect leaders. Let this democracy be fair. Let this democracy be transparent. Let this democracy deliver leadership. And when you have that kind of good leadership, there will be good programs, there will be development, and Nigerians will be happy. That is why we offer this platform of the SDP.
That's
and
a good place
the grace
to live
of God, and
Thank you.
Nigerians will vote wisely in 2019.
Amen. That's our prayer everywhere. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much, Professor Jerry Gana, presidential aspirant on the platform of the SDP, the Social Democratic Party. We thank you so much for spending your morning with us. Thank you.